Hang on, what kind of debate is this? Why is no one talking over each other? Why can I hear the candidates? Why aren't they talking about golf? Why aren't they spewing misinformation? What is going on in this show? Hello everyone, my name is Bizaster and welcome to or back to my YouTube channel. And really quick, can we just talk about how perfectly I timed the upload of this video? Like, the last one I made the joke about the presidential debate at the end, which was before the debate, and I'm making this one after the debate, and the video is about like the election arc. Like, I timed this perfectly. Oh fuck! Oh no, I realized I could have just made the excuse that I was saving it to make better jokes, and I wasn't just being lazy and not uploading the videos in the series in time, no. Anyways, I hope you're doing well, and if you are new to this channel, then I should let you know that this is the 6th and final video in a review series of the 2011 Hunter x Hunter anime. You don't have to check out the first 5 videos, especially the first 2. But I would recommend doing so to completely understand this video. I'll put the full series in the link above. So here's how this video will work. It'll be split into 2 parts. In the first part, I will give you guys my review of the 13th Chairman election arc, and in the second part, I'll give you my final thoughts on the full Hunter x Hunter series. But without any further ado, here's the final arc of Hunter x Hunter.
It's actually not the final arc.
The final arc of Hunter x Hunter.
Seriously, there's more stuff in the manga.
The final arc. Last time, we talked about the Chimera Ant arc, which was fun, but the question is, what is the follow-up to the darkest, most intense, and longest arc in the series? A relatively lighthearted arc that is only 12 episodes long, making it the second shortest one in the series, which is kinda ironic given how it has the longest arc title. Now, you might be thinking, 12 episodes, that's not even 9% of the series. Can this series, even with its great writing and pacing, successfully conclude the anime with just 12 episodes? Yeah. This arc had 2 important roles to fill. First of all, it had to serve as an effective cooldown from the intensity of the last arc, and second of all, it had to, hopefully temporarily, conclude the anime. So how does this arc follow the most intense one in the series? By being Succession. Kind of. With the events of the Chimera Ant arc now resolved, the 13th Chairman election arc introduces us to the Zodiacs. They've all gathered here today to discuss a very important topic: why this motherfucker looks like that. I mean, which one of them will be the next Hunter Chairman? Hence the name of their council. The Zodiacs are all conveniently related to their zodiac signs. Well, Chinese zodiac signs, meaning like animals. Sorry, astrology girls, you can click off this video now. Just kidding, please keep watching. So let's meet the Zodiacs. We have Mizai Nana, the cow, Kanzai, the tiger, Pion, the bunny, rabbit, Botabai Gigante, the dragon, Gel, the snake, Sacho Kobayakawa, the horse, Ginta, the sheep, Sayu, the monkey, Cluck, the chicken, yes, that's her actual name, Cheadle Yorkshire, the dog, Ging Freaks, I feel like I recognize this guy from somewhere, the boar, and Megan, the stallion. Okay, yeah, I lied about that last one, but there is one more Zodiac who shows up late to the discussion. Pariston Hill, yes, clever name, I know, the rat. He gets reprimanded for showing up late, which honestly is understandable because even Jing showed up on time. You know, the guy who, after 136 episodes, still refuses to show up in his son's life. But here's the thing, Pariston has balls. He shows up late and casually goes, "Hey everyone, nice discussion, some really great talking points here, but we can honestly just skip the whole election and pick me as the new chairman." Of course, this statement pisses off the Zodiacs, but suddenly Jing surprises everyone by announcing his plan to run for the position of chairman. Pariston responds like, "Okay, first of all, I'm the vice chairman already, so watch your fucking mouth, big boy. And also, isn't your son in, like, the hospital right now?" "He's fine," Ging says, not knowing the status of his son. Yeah, I should mention that Gon is currently hospitalized after the crazy events of the last arc, but we really don't need to talk about it since Ging doesn't care. Shocker. Anyways, after coming to the mind-blowing realization that the people around him have their own opinions, Pariston proposes that the new chairman be decided through lottery voting, which, after some more discussion, is accepted by the whole council. The rules are established by Jing. 1. All of the hunters are both candidates and voters. 2. The election will be repeated if the candidate with the most votes didn't win the primary election. 3. If the voting rate is less than 95%, the election will be redone. 4. Nameless votes will not be accepted, and 5. The chairman has to be Jing free. Hey, Jing, you sneaky bitch. Obviously, the last rule is not accepted, but after it's omitted, the first 4 are set in stone. So with that, the election begins. The first election results in Pariston receiving a total of 249 votes, severely blowing the rest of the candidates out of the water, as Cheetle came in second place with only 42 votes. Pretty wild, right? Well, no, because earlier we actually learned that Jing met with Beans, this character, in order to rig the election in Pariston's favor. Ging, you sneaky bitch! The voting rate turns out to be less than 95% though, and a re-election is called. So Pariston decides that if hunters refuse to vote and refuse to give their name on a slip, then their hunter licenses will be temporarily revoked, which, after some discussion, everyone agrees to. The second election passes, leading to, the same exact end results, and of course, more arguing amongst the Zodiac Council members. Meanwhile, Illumi, Killua's older brother from previous arcs in the series, approaches Hisoka to inform him that Gon is in critical condition in the hospital, and can only be saved with the help of a younger Zodiac sibling. This is very important information that the main character's life depends on, and information that Killua has been knowing, so he ventures over to his absolute child trauma breeding hell of a household to go ask his dad to see his aforementioned younger sibling. Oh wait, who is this younger sibling? Meet Alluka. She's Killua's adorable little sister. She's a sweet girl who loves and trusts Killua deeply, and she is also, possessed by an evil spirit. Yeah, so basically, Alluka will ask people to do shit for her, as kids do, and if her requests are repeatedly denied, then Nonika, the evil spirit, will possess her and... Oh god. Christ.
A relatively lighthearted arc?
But here's the thing, despite what you may think, Alluka isn't evil. She isn't in control of Nonika and genuinely means no harm when asking for requests. Obviously, it's still a serious issue though, so the Zoldyck family does what any responsible and concerned parents would do by keeping her in solitary confinement for her entire life. I mean, it's not totally unexpected given how they tied up and tortured Killua in the one arc that people claim isn't an actual arc, but god, a good old childhood trauma breeding ground, remember? Back to the plot though. After some arguing, Killua's dad, Silva Zoldyck, I don't remember if I've introduced him in this review series yet, finally lets Killua into Alluka's maximum security prison cell. Oh, wow, that's a nice room actually. As we know, the reason as to why Killua visited Alluka was to have her save Gon, but how will she do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Basically, Alluka can grant wishes, but there are rules when having her grant them. 1. If 3 of Alluka's wishes are granted by someone, she'll grant 1 wish for them. 2. The bigger the wishes, the more extreme the requests will be. 3. The person obeying Alluka's requests will receive requests of the same intensity level received by the previous person. And 4. If Alluka's requests are declined 4 times in a row, the person denying them will, die, as we saw earlier. Meanwhile, the rest of the Zoldicks are watching this encounter via security camera and become paranoid about what Killua's wish will be, leading to one of Killua's coldest moments. Basically, he sort of starts to realize that his family might be up to some shit, so he scoops Alluka up in his arms and is like, hey, here's what's gonna happen. You'll let me out of here and let me make my wish outside of the house. Obviously, Silva refuses this request, which leads to Killua wishing for Alluka to kill their mom if they aren't allowed to leave. And so Silva's like, okay, bitch, goddamn. So after that minor altercation, Killua and Alluka successfully leave the Zoldyck mansion with one very important mission, getting to Killua's best friend, Gon in time. But the two aren't alone, they're joined by a team of Zoldyck family butlers. Goto, the coin motherfucker from the Zoldyck family arc. God damn, not talking about that arc is really coming back to bite me in the ass right now. Fuck. Subone. Oh, okay, pop off, Mima, okay. Canary.
Oh my god, she's back.
And finally, Amane, Canary's gay-ass girlfriend. Like, just look at this interaction between them. Anyways, the reason why the butlers accompany Killua and Alluka is because Silva hired them, anticipating that this mission would be a dangerous one. And dangerous it is because Hisoka and Illumi find out about Alluka's power and set out to capture her. And while all of this is happening, the election, oh yeah, remember that, is getting more and more intense by the minute. And also Leorio's back. Trying his best as usual. This pretty much sets up the main plot. It's one that's interesting and engaging, brilliantly intertwining different story beats together and cool twists and turns throughout, which I won't spoil obviously. It's also just dark and action-packed enough while also serving as a nice cooldown from the Chimera Ant arc, and while it may only be 12 episodes long, it really only needs 12 episodes to tell its story. And now, with all of that said, let's move on to the other aspects of the show that don't have to do with the story, such as the characters, art, and music. First of all, the characters. Gon is primarily absent throughout a fuck ton of this arc, but instead of the show feeling empty without the main character, it still feels great because of the amount of screen time and development Killua gets. And Leorio becomes relevant again too, which is always really nice. He helped to truly bring out the entertaining aspect of the actual election scenes. Other returning characters. Canary's awesome, Goto's cool, Jing is the same as ever, and Illumi and Hisoka are great villains that were really cool to see again, same with the rest of the Zodiac family. As for the new characters, I enjoyed them too. Alluka was adorable and a really interesting character, not to mention great transgender representation, which is always really refreshing to see in anime. Not to mention, this arc was written in 2011 in Japan, so very ahead of its time. Amane and Tsubone, especially Amane in my opinion, were also really fun characters, and it was really cool seeing the interests of the Zodiac family butlers clash with the interests of Killua throughout the arc. As for the Zodiacs, I'll admit that I didn't care about a fair amount of them, more on that later, but I like Cheadle and Pariston. Cheadle because she was one of the more relevant Zodiacs, and especially Pariston, because it was really awesome seeing that Togashi could not only write powerful and calculating villains, but also sleazy and cunning antagonists who have purposefully unclear motivations. The dynamic between these two was also really fun. There were no characters in this arc that I outright disliked, unless they were, intended to be disliked. But that leads to my one complaint. I feel like most of the Zodiacs were just there to make the whole Chinese Zodiac aesthetic happen. Aside from Cheadle, Pariston, and obviously Jing, the Zodiacs were pretty much irrelevant outside of making the election happen. But this isn't a huge complaint, and the character aspect of the arc is heavily improved by, the character development of characters like Killua, as well as the return of a certain beloved character at the end. Moving on to the art, as I've said in every video about this series now, it's great. As always, Madhouse does a great job animating this series, and the character designs are all unique. Yep, very unique. The fights, movement animations, visual gags, blah blah blah, so on and so forth were all great. Even the outright traumatizing shit like this bitch's death makes you go, hey, damn, this shit's pretty well animated. As for the music, it's great as always. There isn't much in terms of new tracks on the OST.
Well, from what I can remember.
But the existing tracks are great and suit their respective moments perfectly. As for the opening theme, you ready to do this one last time? The opening theme for this arc is Departure, which has never been used in this series before. I did it! People love me, people find me funny. Yeah, as always, Departure is a great opening theme. It's also the first version of the song that's used here, which is 1, the version I prefer, and 2, the classic version, which is a fitting pick for the last arc of the series so far. I also want to point out the cool visuals in this particular opening because I really enjoy the bold, stylistic choices made for it. Get it? Because it makes use of bold outlines and shading. God, I am on a roll today. The ending theme used for this arc is, once again, Hyori Itai, but here's the kicker. They pulled the old Departure with this ending. So yeah, the version used for the ending here is, well, a different part of the full song, which threw me off at first, but it's still really awesome. The voice acting is something that I forgot to talk about in my last video, I'm so sorry, but yeah, it's really good in this arc. Obviously, the returning characters are all still played very well, but as for the new characters, Maya Uchida does a great job of playing Alluka, Marina Inoue does a great job of playing Amane, Ikoku Tani is great at playing Tsubone. Did you know that this bitch voiced fucking Patrick in the Japanese dub of SpongeBob? I'm not even joking, look it up. There are other great talents as well, but the highlight for me was Hiroki Takahashi as Pariston Hill. He does a fantastic job of capturing the seemingly nice and cheerful, yet also cunning, sly, and dare I say, zesty nature of him. I also want to give a shout out to Keiji Fujiwara as Leorio. I know I've already praised his voice work a bunch in the previous videos, but I just wanted to acknowledge his greatness yet again, given how, this was his last performance as Leorio. Rest in peace, Mr. Fujiwara, and thank you for your great work. Okay, that's all I have to say about the main categories, without spoiling, of course, and sorry for ending on such a depressing note there, but there's still one question, actually two questions, that I haven't answered. Does this arc successfully follow up the Chimera Ant arc, and does it successfully conclude the anime? I kinda already answered this earlier, but yeah, this arc was a fantastic follow-up to the Chimera Ant arc. It continues the plot in a way that's both interesting and sensible, and it reintroduces the fun and happy vibe of previous arcs, while still retaining the dark gruesomeness that the Chimera Ant arc introduced. Now, as for the second question, yes, this arc is a fantastic conclusion to the anime, so far. Concluding this anime was always going to be a tricky task. It had to both, conclude the series in a satisfying and reasonable way, and set up the next arc so it wouldn't make no sense when the series comes back, which hopefully it does soon. And this arc does a great job at doing both of those things. It ends with a satisfying yet tear-jerking temporary conclusion, which I won't spoil of course, but it also teases the next arc in a way that feels less like a cliffhanger and more like, yeah, it'll come back when it's time for it to come back. It's fucking fantastic, it's incredible, it's good writing. If you couldn't tell already, I really love the 13th Hunter Chairman election arc of Hunter x Hunter. The only complaint I had was the one I addressed earlier about most of the Zodiacs having relatively zero character-defining moments, but aside from that, nothing major. I know it probably seems crazy to give a 12-episode long arc a 10 out of 10, but if you think it is, you clearly haven't seen it. Or I'm just crazy. So yeah, 10 out of 10. But with all that said, thank you so much for oh wait. The 2011 Hunter x Hunter anime is fucking fantastic. It's one of the greatest shonen series ever, and it's clear to see why exactly it's left such a huge impact on the world of anime. But this video isn't about the world's opinion on the show, it's about mine. So let's recap every arc that I've reviewed in the series and deliver a final verdict on the whole anime. The Hunter exam arc began the series with a bang. It's one of the most exciting, gripping anime arcs of all time, filled with unrelenting action, crazy stakes, incredible world building, and of course, a fantastic introduction to a story and cast of characters that would only get more interesting as the series went on. It's definitely more akin to a generic shonen arc than an arc like, say, the Chimera Ant arc, but it's pretty much perfect at, being just that. And it provides its own unique twists and turns to the formula in literally every single aspect. I gave this a 10 out of 10 in my original review of it, 3 years ago, and I still stand by that rating today. The Heaven's Arena arc is the follow-up to the Hunter exam arc, and sadly it's kinda underwhelming compared to it. It's still very good though. The characters, both existing and new, are interesting, Nen gets introduced in the arc, and the whole tournament style is sick. However, it suffers from a somewhat confusing intro to Nen, a sudden lack of two certain significant characters, a lack of the interesting world building seen in the first arc, and more of a generic feel than the first arc, but all in all, it's a short and serviceable arc that is still a ton of fun to watch. In my video on it 2 years ago, I gave it an 8 out of 10, and today I still stand by that score. The York New City arc puts us in the shoes, I think, of Kurapika, and in my opinion, brings the series back to its Hunter exam arc levels of greatness. It brings back the fantastic world building, gives us a proper introduction to the amazing group of villains known as the Phantom Troupe, introduces a much darker tone to the series, and gives most of the spotlight to Kurapika, a very interesting character who I was excited to see more development for. The only real issue I had with the arc was that it had the characters, for the most part, remain split up, but aside from that, it's good. Just under a year ago, I gave this arc a 10 out of 10, and I still agree with that rating today. The Greed Island arc shifts the focus back to Gon and Killua, and serves as both a training arc and a Sword Art Online-esque trapped in a video game story that's actually good, unlike Sword Art Online. It's a great cooldown arc following York New City and preceding the Chimera Ant arc, with cool lore, fantastic world building, and impressive commitment to the video game setting from Togashi. The only problems I had with the arc were that the main villain was kinda dumb, the stakes were kinda watered down. In kinda under a year ago, I gave this a 9 out of 10, and today I still agree with that score. Now the Chimera Ant arc, the longest, darkest one in the series. If you couldn't already tell from my video 2 weeks ago where I glazed it for exactly 16 minutes, wow, Yeah, I love this arc. I gave it a 10 out of 10 then, and I would give it a 10 out of 10 now. And, I will. 10 out of 10. And finally, the 13th Hunter Chairman election arc, the arc we talked about today. As I said before, I'd give it a 10 out of 10, and, I mean, my opinion from a few minutes ago hasn't changed. Shocker, I know. So with all of that said, with all these arcs reviewed and discussed again here, it's time to deliver a final verdict on the 2011 Hunter x Hunter anime. Let's total up the scores. The Hunter exam arc was a 10 out of 10, the Heaven's Arena arc was an 8 out of 10, the York New City arc was a 10 out of 10, the Greed Island arc was a 9 out of 10, the Chimera Ant arc was a 10 out of 10, and the final arc, not really, but this final arc was also a 10 out of 10. Combine all these scores together and you get an overall rating that rounds up to a 10 out of 10. Like I've said countless times now, I fucking loved Hunter x Hunter, and I wasn't lying when I said that. This is one of my favorite anime series of all time, and I wouldn't hesitate to put it in my personal top 10. Hell, maybe even top 5. It's good. Really good. If you haven't seen it already, watch it. Trust me, if you're an anime fan, you'll at least get some enjoyment out of it. Like, come on, I put a lot of effort into making these reviews, like, at least a bit spoiler-free. Watch it! And now, yeah, I guess this review series is over. I mean, the series will come back eventually, hopefully, but until then, I guess that's that. That doesn't mean I'm done doing videos on Hunter x Hunter, though. If you guys want to see me rank the arcs, which, yeah, you'll find out about my favorite arc if you do that, wink wink, nudge nudge, talk about certain fights, or, I don't know, talk about the original 1999 anime, then let me know in the comments below. And of course, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and all of that shit, especially subscribing. I'm hoping to hit 1K subs by the end of the year, and if you guys could make that happen, I would be so grateful. But for now, I mean, thanks for sticking around with me for 3 whole years, putting up with my lazy and inconsistent ass and supporting this series. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.